To support my soft-hearted legitimate sister, I married into the same family as her. She married the young general. As for me, I married the general, his father. After the wedding, the young general brought home a pregnant damsel in distress from the battlefield. My elder sister wiped away her tears, speaking with rare determination. Sister, I want a divorce. Me, fine, if you're leaving, I'm leaving too. Little did we know, before the divorce papers could reach the young general, we heard he'd been punished by kneeling in the ancestral hall. His father stood expressionless with the family discipline rod, lashing him until his flesh split open. Ungrateful son, if you want to make your father a widower, just say so. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. I am the illegitimate daughter of the imperial censor's household. My legitimate elder sister and I are the most harmonious pair of half-sisters in the entire capital. No other reason, it's all because my sister is as soft as a ripe persimmon. I lost my mother at a young age and was raised in a Taoist temple during my childhood. Having witnessed the fickleness of human relationships, I unsurprisingly grew into a venomous woman who recognizes no kinship. Before the banquet, I deliberately stepped on the hem of her dress to make her lose her composure. Reap. The sound of brocade tearing, she turned to see the torn hem, then looked at me, her reaction slightly delayed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put my skirt hem under your feet. Me, what? She seemed a bit simple-minded. I have little interest in bullying someone who's both dim-witted and kind-hearted. In fact, when she was framed by others, I even stepped forward out of contempt for those who prey on the weak. The scheming woman who framed her failed in her plot and demanded of me, Jiang Shushue. What do you mean by this? With a weary indifference, I toyed with the tea in my hand. My sister and I are as close as real sisters. You dared to move against her. Did you ask for my opinion? The scalding tea slipped from my hand, splashing all over them. My elder sister wouldn't have survived safely to marriageable age without my constant protection, however. Yet in just these 3 short days between her wedding and homecoming, when she wasn't under my watchful eye, someone had already tried to bully her again, treating her like an easy target. Her husband was the highly sought-after young general, Pei Huai. It should have been a good marriage, but he was unruly and untamed. Rumor had it that he couldn't let go of someone in his heart, so he completely disregarded the dignity of his lawful wife, leaving her to guard an empty chamber and become the laughingstock of the capital. My poor, ill-fated girl, her mother, always indecisive, could do nothing but hold her daughter and weep incessantly. Even my father, who normally dared to admonish the emperor himself, could only sigh repeatedly. Endure it. There's nothing to be done. After all, you're married into their family now. Moreover, the Pei family controls the military power in the northwest. What can our family possibly do about it? Truly my own flesh and blood, even their spinelessness remains unchanged. I grew tired of listening and lifted my drooping eyelids with a fierce glare. This is something we should endure. When I spoke, my elder sister and mother dared not make a sound, swallowing their sobs. For a moment, even my father, who had not raised me under his own roof, was startled by my words. In the silence, several pairs of eyes turned to stare at me. I'll provide my sister's dowry, I said. My birth mother and father were incredulous. You want to be Pei Huai's concubine? No. Under their bewildered gazes, I enunciated each word clearly. I want to be Pei Huai's mother. I won't be Pei Huai's bride, but I can be his new mother. Pei Huai's father, Pei Shuo, the central general who holds military power, has been widowed for many years and has never remarried. By marrying Pei Shuo, I would gain the legitimate authority to discipline Pei Huai, making him realize whose elder sister he had offended. Mind this vicious woman's. I am a vicious woman well versed in human nature. With just 3 sentences, I made Pei Shuo agree to a grand wedding with all the proper rites and an 8-carriage procession to welcome me into his household. Pei Shuo, you've been widowed for years, and people outside say you were injured on the battlefield, left impotent. I can act. Marry me, and I'll make sure the entire capital knows you're very capable. A man of high status and great power who dares not take a wife, with only 1 son to his name. What else could be the reason? When it comes to analyzing household affairs, I'm a professional. Pei Shuo, what? The great general who roamed the battlefield carried the harshness of desert winds and scorching sun in his every gesture. He raised his eyes to meet mine. Is that so? That moment seemed to stretch into infinity. Suddenly, the tension that had reached its peak dissipated completely. Pei Shuo let out a wry laugh. Fine, in the future, I'll trouble Miss Jiang II to cover for me. Pei Shuo had been a widower for many years, and now that he was finally taking a wife, countless people wanted to see what kind of beauty could possibly win him over during the wedding festivities, including Pei Huai. He was the reason I came to the Pei family. So when Pei Huai was stopped outside the bridal chamber, I crouched by the wall to eavesdrop. I heard father is marrying a beautiful bride, so I came specifically to wish the newlyweds eternal happiness. They say you don't hit someone who comes with a smiling face, but when Pei Shuo heard these blessings, his face turned ashen, his tone rigid, as if biting the soft flesh inside his cheek was the only way to suppress the urge to strike out. Stop wishing. Whether your mother and I can remain united in love depends entirely on how you treat your wife. Pei Huai, what? Pei Huai didn't understand why his father was angry, but I did, because I often discuss educational philosophies with Pei Shuo, and at any time, in any setting, for example right now, Pei Shuo is striding toward me with purpose. The flickering red candles cast their glow as he stood there in his deep red wedding robe, the snow-white sash accentuating his broad shoulders and narrow waist, his sword-like brows and starry eyes, with that tall, straight-nose bridge. It was a breathtaking beauty as striking as an unsheathed sword, yet I, quite ruining the romantic atmosphere, grabbed a handful of dates and longans from the 100 Sons, 1,000 Grandsons canopy bed. Munch munch. This won't do, husband. Pei Shuo lowered his head and eyebrows, also reaching out to touch them, silently peeling longans for me. After peeling, he handed them to me. While eating, I continued, with just a few words, munch munch. You can't clearly explain the importance of their marital harmony to our family. And your tone was poor, munch munch, more likely to provoke his rebellious streak. I went on and on about parenting principles. Pei Shuo snorted coldly, turned his face away, and muttered, always bringing him up, making it seem like you married me just for my son. Me, what, otherwise? If my sister hadn't married your son, would I have married you? Suddenly, I thought of something and lowered my gaze, letting it wander over Pei Shuo's lower regions. Out of lingering pity, I changed my words. Partly, yes, the other part was because he was impotent, perfect for a venomous woman like me who neither wanted children nor could be bothered with the hassle of abortions for others. So there really was a part of it because of my son, even though Pei Shuo didn't know the other part of the reason was his impotence. He remained unsatisfied with this answer, his face turned cold. Scooping me up by the crook of my knees and waist, he effortlessly placed me on the bed amidst a dizzying whirl. Then immediately began removing the dark red wedding robes. He asked, would it kill you to love me a little more, my lady? Outside, the sudden rain pounded against the tiles as the red candle burned until dawn. I felt as though tossed about in a tiny boat amidst raging waves, when a muddled thought surfaced in my mind. Who said he was impotent? He's so capable I want to kill him and become a widow. The next morning, his rough palm crept up my waist, behaving quite improperly. I pressed down on his hand, smiling without warmth. Husband, you have duties to attend. He nibbled at my neck like a dog. No matter, I've sent word that I'm ill. Because Pei Shuo was jealous and picky, he criticized Pei Huai for being indiscreet. Moreover, I had Pei Huai's weakness in my grasp. Whenever he bullied my elder sister, I could immediately find the great scholar who taught him poetry at the clan school. Teacher, why is our Pei Huai sitting in the last row? Teacher, why does our Pei Huai always say the lessons are too easy and he's not learning anything substantial? Damn you, are you targeting our Pei Huai? I'm going to report you to the authorities. Pei Huai detested poetry and literature, but thanks to my meddling as this wicked stepmother, he always received special attention from the Confucian scholars teaching him. He complained to Pei Shuo, who brushed him off, don't talk nonsense. Your academic performance has always been poor. All you know is wielding swords and spears. It's not easy for your mother being your stepmother. Maybe sometimes you should look at yourself. Have you actually studied properly all these years? Pei Huai, he could only swallow his anger and humiliation. maintaining a cold expression while feuding with his legitimate sister every day, a peculiar way of coexistence. Really, but recently, an imperial decree ordered him to suppress a rebellion. While playing leaf cards with my legitimate sister, she seemed distracted. I casually reassured her, "It's just suppressing a rebellion, nothing dangerous. Look at your cards." My sister snapped out of it and murmured, "It's not the danger. I just heard that Pei Huai brought back a pregnant woman on his way back." Immediately, alarm bells rang in my heart. What woman? Pei Huai's beloved. Pei Huai had a very low-profile beloved named Sunyan. Rumor has it she was a courtesan. And because of her disreputable status, she couldn't enter the Pei family. My elder sister nodded honestly. Yes, I reined in my lazy smile, straightened my posture, with a sharp glint hidden in my eyes. "Then what do you plan to do?" My elder sister looked at me, knowing full well that I had the means to help her dispose of someone without anyone noticing. Given my methods and my status as the mother-in-law, it wouldn't even be considered a difficult task. But she remained silent for a long time before suddenly making up her mind. "Second sister, I want a divorce. Even a clay figurine has its temper." Pei Huai had repeatedly trampled her elder sister's dignity underfoot. Pushed to the brink, it wasn't surprising she'd voice such thoughts. I felt the pride of seeing one's daughter come of age, and without the slightest hesitation replied, "Fine, if you leave, I'll leave too." That evening, when Pei Shuo removed his armor and clung to me with his usual clinginess, his eyes caught sight of the elegantly written divorce agreement beneath my hand. Pei Shuo pretended to remain calm, though his sidelong glances at the divorce agreement betrayed him countless times. "Divorce agreement, yours. Why are you seeking a divorce? Has that rascal Pei Huai upset you again? Or has he offended your aunt?" Even through the fabric, I could feel his heart pounding as if about to leap from his chest. He asked too many questions at once, so I chose to answer selectively. "No, I was just ghostwriting for my sister." Pei Shuo's stiff spine gradually relaxed as he let out a long sigh. "That's good, there's still time." He was actually celebrating too soon. I thought to myself, "You big fool. Mine's already finished, it's on the bookshelf." My elder sister had always been a stickler for rules, timid as a rabbit, but now that she'd made her decision, it was as if someone had unblocked her meridians. During morning and evening greetings, her eyes sparkled. "Do you have any plans?" Second sister, however, dark circles shadowed my eyes as I yawned drowsily. "Don't come to greet me so early." "Sister, I'm exhausted." "What's wrong with you?" my elder sister asked. I gritted my teeth. "Last night I was thoroughly gnawed by a dog." "Damn you, Pei Shuo, we must divorce." My elder sister was simple-hearted and actually believed I'd been bitten by a dog, after first scolding me for being careless. She finally began discussing divorce plans with me. The timing of completing the divorce letter and finalizing the entire separation plan was remarkably coincidental. Pei Huai returned victorious from battle, and the usually unruly man reached out to carefully help a beautiful woman dismount from his blue roan horse. The woman resembled a lotus flower blooming in early summer, with glistening dewdrops trembling on the leaves, radiant and captivating. Pei Huai protectively shielded the woman's slightly rounded abdomen with great care. Pei Huai swept his gaze over the crowd, his eyes finally settling on his legitimate sister as he instructed. "Nyan Nyan is with child. No one in this household is permitted to mistreat her, or else." He left the threat unfinished, but his tone was heavy with warning. The servant's eyes darted between the woman and the legitimate sister, their hushed gossip cutting through the air like knives, slicing away at the sister's dignity. No wonder the general doesn't favor the young mistress. That one's beauty truly makes even me feel pity for her. Is she already pregnant? Of course. There were also some who spoke up in righteous indignation. I heard this woman isn't from a respectable family. Keeping her as a mistress is one thing, but to bring her home so eagerly, isn't this a slap in the face to the young madam? But the voices were chaotic, blending into a clamorous uproar. Following our prearranged plan, my elder sister bit her lower lip, her raven feather lashes casting dark shadows, her expression utterly desolate. Tears fell like broken strings. Turning around, the tears still lingered on her cheeks, yet her expression held no sorrow. I supported her, whispering close to her ear, "That's right. Just act like this. Later when you return to your room, have everyone else leave you undisturbed. We'll place the divorce agreement in a conspicuous spot. Then say you want to go out for a walk with me to clear your mind. Everyone will assume you're heartbroken by Pei Huai's actions. No one would suspect we're using this opportunity to separate. Our plan was perfectly laid out. But just then, a sudden furious roar cut through the air. Ungrateful brat. Get over here. Not far away. Pei Shuo, just off duty. Clad in blood-stained armor and astride a towering steed, cast a chilling sidelong glance from his elevated position that sent shivers down one's spine. No matter how rebellious a son might be, in the face of his authoritative father, he could only shrink into a frightened little whelp. Pei Huai initially thought to flee, but his father swiftly hoisted him onto his shoulder. In a dizzying whirl, he was slammed onto the stone tiles of the ancestral hall, his mouth full of dust. My legitimate sister and I stood on the corridor leading to the ancestral hall when a servant came to report, "Young General has been punished to kneel in the ancestral hall." Soon another servant came to report, "The family head has called for the family discipline." The ancestral hall was solemn and dignified, and even Pei Huai, who was being whipped, only whimpered softly. Yet Pei Shuo's voice could be heard clearly by my legitimate sister and me. "Think you're something special now, huh?" A lash, daring to bring women home on a whim. Another lash, though Pei Shuo's face remained expressionless. Each time he raised his whip, one could sense the icy fury flashing in his eyes. "Ungrateful son, if you want to make your father a widower, just say it outright." My elder sister stood outside the ancestral hall, the shadows of tree branches falling across her brows, making it impossible for me to discern her expression for a moment. My heart sank as I asked her, "Are you still planning to divorce him?" She had always been lenient with others and easily swayed. Now that she'd seen Pei Shuo willing to stand up for her, who knew how deeply moved she might be? Moreover, after Pei Huai was severely beaten, he would inevitably become more restrained. My elder sister would probably waver in her heart, wouldn't she? She retorted, "What about you? Originally, the main reason I married into the Pei family was to support my elder sister, so naturally, I would follow her lead when leaving. It's up to you. I'll leave if you leave." Who would have thought? To my surprise, she said, "Then I want a divorce." Perfect. Moreover, under my influence, my elder sister had become a woman of action. She turned and left without hesitation, her back resolute. I grabbed her wrist, forcing her to stop. "Wait." My elder sister turned back in confusion. I continued, "Everything outside requires money to smooth the way. It's not like being in the mansion. Take everything we can carry now, so we won't have to worry about running short on silver notes later. The current situation isn't what we planned, but since Pei Huai is still receiving family punishment in the ancestral hall, let's not miss this opportunity." I led her back in a hurry. The box in the household accounts containing silver notes and land deeds, valuable. Grab it. The rosewood canopy bed I've slept in for years had it carried away. Every valuable item was thoroughly looted. Even the gold leaf on the pillars was scraped off by me. Eldest sister, what? Laden with bundles large and small, I asked her, "What about your things? Did you bring everything?" The elder sister pondered for a moment, then, she swiftly turned into the small kitchen, where a retired imperial chef from the royal kitchen was working. His signature dish, phoenix-tailed shrimp balls, was crispy and delicious. Pack and take away. The escape went surprisingly smoothly because Pei Shuo was fully immersed in disciplining his son in the ancestral hall, completely unaware that my elder sister and I were looting the Pei family like we were on a shopping spree. Until he was exhausted from smoking, he placed the family discipline instrument he had fetched onto the shelf in the ancestral hall. After leaving the ancestral hall, Pei Shuo narrowed his long, phoenix-like eyes and surveyed the surroundings, only to find that the Pei family had been thoroughly ransacked by me and my elder sister, leaving nothing but the load-bearing walls and 2 divorce letters on the bookshelf. Pei Shuo, and Pei Huai's reactions were something neither my legitimate sister nor I could predict. However, halfway there, I stopped. "What's wrong?" My sister huffed and puffed while carrying the luggage, nearly bumping into my back as she failed to see the path. I said, "We can't go home." Those 2 cowards at home didn't even require Pei Shuo to intervene personally, just a word sent by his messenger, and they'd have shipped me and my elder sister back untouched. In fact, they'd probably have warned us to behave and stop making trouble. so we came to an agreement. We detoured to a security escort agency, hired over a dozen armed escorts, changed carriages multiple times along the way, wandering from the northwestern deserts all the way to the misty, rain-drenched Jiangnan region. Thus began our carefree, leisurely, and utterly unsupervised celestial existence. From then on, the world lost 2 women suffering in the inner chambers, and gained 2 wealthy, beautiful young widows. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. The story of how the Pei family's mother-in-law and daughter-in-law joined forces to divorce and clean out the Pei household became essential gossip in the capital's tea-time conversations. The Pei family had even posted notices offering 1,000 taels of silver reward for any information leading to our whereabouts. For a time, peddlers, laborious, and street idlers were all searching for traces of us. But time has erased all evidence, and now no one speaks of it anymore. Even the missing person notices have yellowed and curled at the edges. I figured the Pei family, having lost some assets, should have recovered by now and cooled their anger, so at this very moment, my legitimate elder sister and I found ourselves in the newly opened Nanfeng Gardens VIP lounge in the capital, ordering over a dozen male attendants to serve us. Some massaged shoulders, others kneaded legs, while a few peeled grapes, poured wine, or danced for our entertainment. Everything is available. My elder sister seemed a bit reserved. While I was the one being pampered with attendants on both sides, I coaxed her, "Don't be shy about playing around with them. Don't you think that young attendant looks like Pei Shuro? Shall I assign that one to you?" She squinted to make out. "It really does look alike," I added, "not just the looks, but the demeanor too." The elder sister, "Even the mannerisms are similar. If the voice matches too, it would practically be the same person." At this point, our hearts skipped a beat, and we exchanged startled glances. Sure enough, upon hearing a familiar voice, fleeting moments of desperate intimacy suddenly flashed through my mind. "Jiang Shushue." I look up. At this moment, the trees stood still, the wind ceased. Not far away, the young man I had mistaken for a courtesan was draped in a fox-fur cloak, his sharp eyes unblinking as they fixed on me. The ferocity in his gaze was impossible to conceal. It was unmistakably Pei Shuro. I had long anticipated this scene in my heart. Though my spine stiffened as if struck by lightning, I still managed to respond with composure. "Speak quickly if you have something to say." In the blink of an eye, my previously bashful elder sister snatched the young male entertainer from my arms and simultaneously covered my venomous mouth. She genuinely feared Pei Shuro might beat me to death, taking all the blame upon herself. "Father-in-law, it was I who insisted on begging Mother to bring me to this unsavory place. Mother did reprimand me, but she simply couldn't withstand my persistence, so." Pei Shuro shot her a glance, his tone inscrutable. "Make time to invite physician Zhong to examine your spine. I fear at such a young age, your back isn't strong enough to carry such a heavy burden." With just a few words, he settled the matter and silenced his elder sister, leaving her no room to argue. His temper was truly fiery. I suggested he drink some water to cool his anger. Pei Shuro took the tea and sipped it, his drooping eyelids lifting to reveal his sanpaku eyes and the dark mole at the outer corner, giving him a naturally fierce look. "Why are you here?" But I was fearless. "Whoring. What else? Of course I know how to say sweet words too, like, I just wanted to sneak back to the capital to steal a glance at you, to see if you're doing well." But I disdain telling lies. As everyone knows, when someone is rendered utterly speechless, they truly will laugh. Pei Shuro was so infuriated by me that he laughed, his chest heaved with rage, swelling violently before he abruptly fainted on the spot. As his heavy frame collapsed toward me, I caught him and poked his shoulder. "Pei Shuro, Pei Shuro." There was no response. My elder sister asked me, "This medicine works so quickly this time," I replied proudly. "Improved version, guaranteed to knock them out for at least 3 days. I'm a venomous woman, raised in a Taoist temple since childhood. The kind who appears pure as moonlight but dabbles in mercury and lead behind closed doors." This wasn't the first time we'd encountered pursuers, but each time, my medicine had successfully knocked them out. "Let's go." I brushed off non-existent dust from my dress and reached out to my elder sister. "Don't just stand there." Pei Shuro's perspective. Darkness engulfed his surroundings as his eyelids grew unbearably heavy. Pei Shuro wanted to call out to Jiang Shushue, begging her not to leave. But she merely lowered her head, severed her skirt's hem, and left nothing but a scrap of fabric slipping through his fingers. The moment he fell, he suddenly remembered his first encounter with Jiang Shushue. At that time, Jiang Shushue had not yet come of age, had not been taken back to the Jiang family, and was still a Taoist nun in the temple. Pei Shuo was the severely wounded man she had picked up, just like the opening of many third-rate, cliched storybooks, except that, upon waking, Pei Shuo's blade was pressed against her neck, yet Jiang Shushue didn't even bat an eyelid, continuing to grind herbs with her head bowed. No wonder the storybooks say that men picked up from the streets are never any good. Since you know, why did you pick me up? She laughed. Don't worry. It's not like I'm any better myself. At this moment, Pei Shuo's face was disfigured, his tendons severed, barely able to stand, yet it perfectly matched her requirements. Test subject for experimental medicines, Jiang Shushue had many drugs with unknown effects that needed testing, including the knockout drug she was researching, an ointment to repair Pei Shuo's facial scars, and prescriptions to mend and nourish tendons and meridians. The number of medicines tested on Pei Shuo was beyond count. By the time he gradually developed resistance to the knockout drug, his relationship with Jiang Shushue had become anything but ordinary. Hearing she was a Jiang family concubine-born daughter about to return to the capital, he asked, "How about I accompany you back to the capital? I'll be your backing." Jiang Shushue, with a lazy and indifferent air, "Not particularly. I'm returning to the capital to make my mark. You're not my support. At best you're just a burden." That's what she said, yet before leaving, she still left a note for this burden, carefully instructing him to remember to change the ointment on his face. Change it 3 times a day, and remove the bandages after 7 days. The effects of the knockout drug fell far short of Jiang Shushue's expectations. Pei Shuo was only unconscious for half a quarter of an hour. When he woke up, Pei Shuo saw Pei Huai lying beside him, gripping his wrist, veins bulging on the back of his hand. He uttered just 2 sentences. The first, "I saw Jiang Shushue and Jiang Wanyan." Second sentence, "Send everyone out to search," as he uttered the final word. The armor on Pei Huai's body clanked sharply, and he responded, "Understood." Pei Shuo sat in the south wind pavilion, his gaze sharp as a blade. As he lowered his head to look at the still warm fabric of a skirt clutched in his hand, an astonishing chill flickered in his eyes. He would never allow her to abandon him again and again. I hadn't expected the knockout drug to wear off so quickly for Pei Shuo. The capital was immediately put on high alert. With strict inspections required for anyone entering or leaving, the situation was growing tense. I firmly believe the most dangerous place is the safest place. My elder sister fretted nervously. "This can't be right, can it?" I said. "Why not? Who would guess we've fled back to Nanfeng Garden?" Indeed, we had returned to Nanfeng Garden and were now seated in a room separated from the previous VIP chamber by nothing more than a single screen. Opening the window, I could see the chaos of war beyond the garden. Pei Shuo and Pei Huai rode side by side on their tall horses. Pei Huai reported, "Father, we've ordered strict checks at the city gates and searched everywhere else, but there's no trace of them. Could you have been mistaken?" Cupping my hand like a bowl, I leaned close to my elder sister's ear and whispered in a breathy voice, "I told you the package wouldn't be found." My elder sister gave me an approving glance. Little did I know, Pei Shuo flatly refused, insisting firmly, "Impossible. From what I know of Jiang Shushue, she's probably nearby right now, enjoying the sight of us running around in circles looking for them." He was so certain, certain as if he could hear the thoughts in my heart. Me, what? Eldest sister, what? Pei Shuo suddenly sensed something and raised his eyes. He and I, one below and one above, separated by height, yet he saw me with such precise accuracy. The surroundings were deathly silent. I forced an awkward laugh. "Haha, what a coincidence. To be honest, I'm doing all right." Pei Shuo, being slightly older after all, was a bit more composed in his demeanor. Every time I approached the courtyard gate, the armored private soldiers of the Pei family would stop me with their spears. "Madam, please don't make things difficult for us. Go back." After finding me, they merely locked me in the courtyard, and I wasn't subjected to any other mistreatment. As for my elder sister, Pei Huai was already unruly and disobedient, who knew if he might go too far. I had to find a way to slip past those private soldiers and reach my elder sister. Thus, when Pei Shuo finished his shift, I had already been waiting for him inside the room for quite some time. Why have you sent people to watch over me? I brewed a pot of imperial gifted Longjing tea from Pei Shuo's private collection and took a sip. I don't like being stared at by so many people. Pei Shuo wasn't hard to read, his expression unreadable between joy and anger. Are you planning to run away again? Not at all, I'm not. How could it be? Pei Shuo wouldn't believe a single word of my nonsense, his wary gaze fixed unblinkingly on me. They're just standing guard, they won't get in your way. Until I leisurely swirled my cup and spilled tea all over Pei Shuo's martial attire, Pei Shuo said in a low voice, "What are you doing?" He would soon find out what I was about to do. I grabbed his collar, forcing him to bend down, then skillfully pressed my lips against his. When the kiss ended, I meaningfully lowered my gaze to the tea-stained spot on his clothes, slowly arched an eyebrow, and smiled. Are you still sure those people outside won't be a problem? Pei Shuo's veins bulged with anger. His clenched knuckles cracked audibly. It was a mystery what sheer willpower kept him from disciplining me right then and there in front of others. Resigned, he closed his eyes and issued the command to those outside, "All of you, withdraw." The courtyard emptied, but later died tragically on the battlefield. His birth mother was pregnant with him but, overwhelmed by grief, passed away shortly after giving birth to him. His tone was heavy with sorrow, seemingly genuine, but I couldn't help asking, "Why haven't I heard you mention this before?" Pei Shuo pondered for a moment before replying with utmost seriousness. "Because you never asked before. Moreover, I could hardly imagine rumors circulating that I'm impotent and had an illegitimate child at 12. What he said made a lot of sense. After giving it some thought, I was convinced by Pei Shuo. This speculation really doesn't hold water. Since we'd already gotten this far in the conversation, I brought up that delicate, fragile, and pregnant damsel from the other day, curling my lips. What about that girl Pei Huai brought back? Pei Shuo, also a widow. Me, what? No, are the father and son trafficking people on the battlefield? What a coincidence. If she's a widow, why didn't he speak up? I'm a foul-tempered shrew. And right now I don't quite trust Pei Shuo anymore. My voice carried a simmering anger as I snapped the question. My elder sister is the epitome of a well-bred lady from a noble family, and she would surely understand and be considerate. Pei Shuo spoke in a calm tone, soothing my emotions as he explained methodically. First, he only managed to say one sentence after returning home before I knocked him unconscious with family discipline. Second, that girl's identity is indeed special. The girl and the soldier under Pei Huai's command were childhood sweethearts, but the soldier's family was too poor to marry her, and he could only watch helplessly as she was sold to a brothel. Later, the soldier died. He died shielding Pei Huai from a blade, and his only wish before death was for Pei Huai to use the military pay he had saved over the years to buy the girl's freedom. When the girl was freed, she nearly slit her throat to follow him in death. If not for the soldier's posthumous child in her womb, Pei Shuo's large hand threaded through my hair, giving it a gentle tousle. That's why Pei Huai didn't dare to confront her directly. He planned to tell us about it privately. However, at this point, the misunderstanding has been cleared up. Pei Shuo asked me, "Will my lady now give me a chance not to annul our marriage? I will surely make amends for my mistakes." I was already feeling at ease inside, but my mouth remained stubborn as I put on airs. "Depends on your performance." Pei Shuo arched his beautiful yet sharp brows, his lips still savoring the words "depends on my performance." Then, his gaze gradually darkened, his tone turning dangerous. "Pei will certainly perform well." When dawn broke the next day, the guards stationed in the courtyard had completely withdrawn, and the summer sun shone glaringly bright. By my bedside sat my drowsy elder sister, looking as exhausted as I was. Her sheer gown couldn't conceal the dense marks on her fair collarbones. Understanding dawned on me as I asked, "Have you made up with Pei Huai?" A blush spread across her face like she'd secretly sipped fine wine, and she whispered, "Yes, we've made up." "How are you feeling?" What I meant was whether my elder sister still planned to escape, so I could make arrangements early. Who would have thought she'd say something so shocking? Even a venomous woman like me was taken aback. "Kind of feels good." Me. "What? Alright, I take it back." One escape plan revoked. After returning to the Pei residence, life settled back into its usual rhythm. However, during the morning and evening greetings, Pei Shuo and Pei Huai, who pretended to enjoy the cool air or feigned playing chess in the pavilion outside,
would prick up their ears. They chatted idly. Pei sure, son. The sky is so sky today. Pei Hui, indeed, father, the lake is so lake today. Warriors possess keen senses, their attention entirely focused on my courtyard, where they could clearly hear our daily bickering, tattling, and nitpicking. Finally, with a parched throat, I asked my elder sister, so, will you divorce him? She shook her head. Forget it, I won't. I nodded. All right, if you're not leaving, then neither am I. The two people not far away simultaneously let out sighs of relief, exchanged smiles, and clinked their glasses. Dodged a bullet, a celebratory sisterly talk about narrowly escaping widowhood once again. The end.